Hey guys, Elissa Stone back again this week. I missed yesterday, which is when I'm supposed to be in here. But I'm in here today. A lot's going on. The first thing that I want to cover is I would love to be able to give back. And when sharing some of my story and helping people, my only hope is maybe it helps one person in their journey, whether that be professionally, whether that be personally, whether that be with family. So I think everybody can relate. Sometimes it is difficult to be vulnerable and share things with others as you go through them. But at the same time, it's like I've learned so much from people who've been vulnerable as well. I'll give you an example, and this is more on the personal side. There was an individual, I was connected with him on Facebook, and it was around the holidays. I believe it was like November, maybe December of last year. And he did a quick post, and he was just talking about, how he was missing his family and his kiddos. And it sounded like he had, at one point in time been married, and unfortunately that situation had changed. And he just put like a quick blurb out there. And I read it, and I responded, and I commented, and I said, I really appreciate you having the courage to put that out there, especially publicly, because I think there's so many people who were feeling the same way, including myself. And so I could totally relate. And it was very beneficial to me to read that and understand I'm not the only person that sometimes goes through that. And so, in sharing some of the things that I go through, some of them are positive, some of them are negative, some of them are, things that I can improve upon. It's vulnerable feeling at first, but at the same time, I hope that there are other people out there that are going through something similar that maybe take something away. So, we're back again in the journey to the wall. So, a bunch of different updates going on. Last time I left you guys, I talked about two different closings that both took about 4 days to fund. So you can actually do the signing at the table, and then it's never a done deal until you actually close on the paperwork and then you fund on the back end. And in Texas, it's not common to go several days without funding. And so my last two transactions, one of them was on the front end, meaning I was buying a home that I was going to rehab, took 4 days to fund. And then the second one, this was a rehab that I had completed and I was selling to a buyer, and that took 4 full days to fund, and that was a little nerve-wracking because she was already in the house. And then I mentioned on some of the other segments that I had looked at the highest purchase price house to date at 645. Our last segment, we mentioned that I was under contract, so I've now closed, but I had my third closing in a row that took 4 full days to fund. So let me share a little bit about that story and kind of the chaoticness and the stress that went into this deal. So not only is it a little bit nerve-wracking finding a deal and it being your highest purchase price to date, but then you want to understand how you're going to fund the deal. And you can do that in a couple of different ways. You can take some of your own money to closing. You can use a hard money lender. You can use private money lending. There's all different ways to close on a very specific real estate transaction. In this particular one, I did end up going hard money with Noble Mortgage. I work very closely with Daryl as well as Chris over there. Amazing customer service. That to date has been the only hard money company that I've ever worked with. Such an amazing experience. There's so many good ones out there though, but it just the consistency and the service and everything that they do to jump through hoops to make things happen and deals close in your timeline. They definitely have that formula figured out. But let's get back to the 4 day closing. So there were multiple hands involved in this transaction. And I'm going to take a quick drink, sorry. So you have the actual listing realtor. I don't recommend these all the time, by the way, but I'm tired. It's Friday. I need help. So we had the listing realtor and then the gentleman that was selling the property. And unfortunately, I am so sorry to share this, but he did pass away after it had been listed. And so there were a couple of other people in the transaction that included another realtor, a wholesaler, as well as myself. So multiple parties, multiple hands. We also had Noble Mortgage, who was my lender on this one. long story short, obviously I'm taking some money to closing. I have a certain amount of liquidity in the bank for this particular deal. And when I go to transfer my money, we are all very well of wire fraud these days. So I contact the title company. I make sure that, all of the account information from what's been emailed to me matches the title company that I'm working with. I know exactly how much I'm supposed to be transferring over. I immediately do the one-day transfer, and it shows on my side that it's gone through. Well, I'm getting calls even the next day. So this was on a Friday. So we're now into Monday. We did not fund. We did not do a table close and fund the same day. So now we're into Monday, and I'm getting calls from multiple parties involved in this transaction saying, hey, where's your money? And I'm like, well, here's the email confirmation. The wire went through. The wire was successful. And so we kept working through this process, and nobody could understand where my money was. I finally get the call that this is well over $50,000. It's not in my account anymore. The wire is saying that it is successful. However, the title company does not have access. So none of us can close until they have my portion of the money that I'm bringing to closing. Well, after spending over about 6 hours on customer service, going back and forth with my bank, as well as other people within the transaction, we come to find out that the money's not in my account. There was confirmation that my bank saying it looks good, and there was a little glitch with one of the tellers where they were supposed to add the beneficiary as the title company. Well, because this didn't happen, basically my money was sitting out in what I call wire abyss, and nobody knew where it was at. Even the bank was having difficulties locating it, which was a very scary thing. I went through probably about 2.5, 3 full days of not knowing exactly where my money was and how to get it to the right place. But you go through all these steps, right? You figure it out as you go along. I showed up to the bank. I was on the phone with the bank multiple hours on end talking to different supervisors. My bank ended up filling out the beneficiary portion and resubmitting it to the receiving bank. Well, it didn't get better from there. So my bank has now done this 3 times. We're almost 4 full days into not being able to be fully funded at this point. And so then I find out that there's a problem with the receiving bank, that they have now received that amendment 3 different times, but they haven't applied it. And so there's a delay on their side. By the end of the 4th full day, I am happy to announce that we did get fully funded. But kind of the ironic, fun thing within that realm is I got one call and they're like, oh, we found your money. We're good. Okay, I can breathe. 2 hours later, I get another call back. Oh, wait, that was a mistake on the title company's side. So it was a chaotic 4 days, but we made it through it. And we closed and we funded, and now the project is well on its way. So I'm excited to launch that one off. And I really attribute those 4 days and kind of the stress and everything that goes along with it and trying to manage, your personal life. I'm still a mom. I'm having to do homework every single night. I'm picking up kids on the phone with the bank, trying to figure out where over 50 grand is so I can get this transaction done. But I attribute it to, okay, let's stay calm. Yes, you have your moments. We get a little excited, but it's all about like that brute force, that consistency, that sheer determination, and that perseverance to push forward and find a solution. It didn't matter how we got to that point. The only thing that mattered at that point was to find a solution and close out the deal, which we did. And I think there was probably a little bit of celebrating with everybody that was involved in the transaction, including wholesaler, other realtors, lenders, everybody. So it was an amazing opportunity towards the end as we were all celebrating, I'm sure. On that particular project, just a quick update, I'm excited because initially when I did my estimated repairs and walkthrough, I saw that there was a possibility that I could add a entire bedroom as well as a bathroom, and I wasn't sure that that's the route that I wanted to go. But after analyzing the market and being back in the home, because I did not have access to this property throughout the closing process, which also made it difficult, I've decided to add a whole nother room and another bathroom to really force appreciation on the back end, and I'm really excited to get started on that. The project kicks off on Monday. So back to the Braden project. That's the one that is going to help me on the journey to the wall. So after I finish this podcast today, I will be going and touring the property up in Spring. I'm going to check all the construction and see how things are coming along. Countertops are in, floors are starting, paint's been done. So a whole plethora of work has gone into this project, and we're on the tail end. We're looking to wrap up completion on the 23rd of this month, and then I'm going to go ahead and stage it and get it on the market. One of the really cool things that we are doing is up here at Total Wealth, obviously we have a member base. We are going to be doing a live tour of this project of up to about 30 investors, and we're going to be showing before pictures. I'm going to be talking about, here were my estimated repairs within walking the home for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to obviously talk about actual repairs as well and some of the decisions that I made to force appreciation. So like, for example, in this one, decided to add a bathroom and do a couple of other key things, and where I think that's going to bring us out in the market. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for some of our member base here up at Total Wealth Academy to come do a live walkthrough, see the before pictures, see the after, see what's unfolding. And gosh, it's so much more exciting to tour something like in person versus just seeing it on paper. At least that's my opinion anyway. So hopefully you feel the same way. So watch out for that email if you are a member. I know a lot of members listen to me, and I'm so appreciative that you do. Okay, on the realtor side, and kind of ironic in going into the member base as well with Total Wealth, is I have an individual who he had 2 properties in his portfolio. They were rental properties. He's had them since 2008. He decided, hey, I'm ready to go ahead and get them off the books. I would love to take the equity from that and do something else with that money. And because of the relationship base that we've been able to develop up here at Total Wealth, I knew of a very influential investor who was looking to add to his rental portfolio. So without even listing these properties or sending them out to our member database, I was able to connect the two from a realtor perspective, both buyer and seller, and make those 2 transactions happen. So today we have 2 different closings between the buyer and seller, and I'm representing both sides. And so it's an amazing opportunity because not only is one investor, able to tap into the equity and do something else with the money that he's established over the, since 2008, but then you have somebody else who his main goal and driver is to build up his rental portfolio. And how beautiful does that mirror together when putting those relationships together? So that's an exciting day. 2 closings today. It's happening this afternoon. I think one of them is happening right now as I speak. I had a quick conversation with one of my private money lenders yesterday, and I'm transitioning into, I remember being back in my corporate career in my early 20s and 30s, and I enjoyed aspects of what I did, but I couldn't say that I loved my job. It was a job. It was hard work. Yes, you make money. There's some positive attributes about it. But yesterday, in talking to my private money lender, amazing gentleman, he'd actually had knee surgery, so I was checking on him to make sure he went okay, because we all have health issues, right? We all go through ups and downs. And, it was very nice to hear that he was doing okay and some pain, but, he's going to survive and do well. But then we started talking about the business aspect of things, and I just said, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for investing in me, investing your belief in me and your confidence in me. And obviously, it's about delivery of performance on the back end, which is so important to me. But at the same time, it's like I realize I really love what I do. And that was kind of an epiphany for me, because here I am, I was remembering back to being in the corporate world so long ago, and I didn't love it. And I go through all these ups and downs and these learning processes. For example, my last 3 closings have taken 4 full days to fund, which is extremely stressful, but it's like the stress is there. But I still love what I do, and I can't imagine doing anything else. Not only like owning my own company, being a little bit more flexible for time with my kiddos. Yes, I go through periods where it's absolutely crazy intense, where I feel like I can't even see straight and I just want to collapse. But then, it kind of comes down a little bit, and I get to sit back and enjoy and think about what it is I'm doing and where I'm going and how this benefits, my friends, my family, my kiddos. And I really, truly think, yes, you have that end goal in mind. You have things that are important to you that you want to accomplish, But at the same time, you got to enjoy the journey, and you got to learn every step of the way. And that can be from any single person that walks into your life. It can be somebody at a restaurant that's waiting on you. It could be on a bartender. It could be somebody who is, flying the plane whenever you're going on a vacation. I really, truly, honestly believe anybody and everybody that comes into your life, whether they stay or not, you're going to learn something, and you're going to take that away and let those personalities, the very positive attributes, be something that you kind of put into your wheelhouse. I feel like you have to always consistently, authentically be yourself, but take these positive things of everybody that you meet and put it into your wheelhouse, and become more powerful and more strong and have that growth mindset. And, if we go through hard times, I like to call it, I think I heard this from Tony Robbins at one point in time, it's called post-traumatic growth. So you go through a hard time, maybe you're stunned in the process, maybe you're not even sure what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and you may not ever be able to answer that. But how are you going to learn from it? How are you going to grow from it? And how are you going to let it drive you? I still consistently, on a weekly basis, sometimes have things that are put in front of me or introduced to me that almost take me to my knees. Maybe it's health related. Maybe it has to do with my kiddos. Maybe it has to do with business and learning something new and going through a very difficult period. But when I'm down, when I'm not feeling as strong as I know that I want to be, I always evaluate and I say, okay, I don't like how I feel right now. How do I work through this in my head? How do I get back up? And what is it that I'm going to learn from this? And how am I going to let this drive me? I went through something last week. It was actually health related. Maybe at some point I'll go into more detail. I'm not quite there yet. The vulnerability thing is still, I'm still working on that. So maybe one day at some point. But long story short, it was health related. And, I went through this period where it was very difficult in my head. I was very scared. I was nervous. I was uptight. I'm not sure what my future holds. I could be fine for the rest of my life, or I could not be. But I said, instead of staying stuck in that place, how do you enjoy life? How do you get back up? How do you let this drive you? And so I sat there and I reevaluated my entire life. I reevaluated my relationship with my kids. I reevaluated what I can consistently do on a daily basis to stay healthy and very active. And then I also looked at my business. And so in all of those areas that are important to me, I found the one driving motivator and set a new goal even on some business fronts. And I'm like, okay, so I'm in a little bit of a bad place right now. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I feel overwhelmed, but I love what I do. Look at some of the things that I've accomplished and let these times drive me even more. And so literally within a couple of days, I am back up and on my game and just on fire, running around with my hair on fire around the office and just looking at deals and looking at the excitement of what the future holds. And to me, that's critically important in your journey. Always enjoy the journey. Don't just be in such a rush to get that end result. And I'm very happy with the outcome. Mentality-wise, after going through those couple of hard days for various different reasons, I'm very happy with some of the goals that I set and coming out of that. Again, I always want to add value. I don't know if I do that. I certainly hope I do. This isn't all about me. This is about sharing my journey and making sure that each and every one of you understand that we all have our amazing weeks, we have our amazing days, and we also have days where we're like, I can't do this anymore. And it's how do we persevere? How do we overcome? How do we get back into that place of strength? That's really, truly what my journey is about. Me getting up on the wall, yes, that's part of it. Me moving into multifamily syndication after 3 years of being in the business and setting some pretty rigorous goals within the multifamily syndication realm, yes, that is part of my journey, but it's always about growth and getting back up after you go through hard times. I'll see you guys next week.